Caught between love and betrayal, my boyfriend, 24, told me, "I still love you," but couldn't stay. While I fought for us, he grew closer to his girl best friend, leading me to ask, why am I so easy to give up on? Now I'm left feeling shattered and alone. What happens next? November marked the beginning of our problems due to her. We met during the pandemic and became accustomed to a world that revolved around just the two of us. We have been in a relationship for approximately 3 years now. I am currently employed and he just began his freshman year of college. He mentioned that he returned to college for the sake of his future and ours. He used to be very proud of me whenever I visited him at his school. He never cared whether the person was a male or female. I was the one who frequently visited him, and that was never an issue for either of us. He always stated that I was his one. As he started school, he would often boast about me to his friends. Eventually, he introduced me to all of them, and I felt incredibly happy and excited. In November 2024, he introduced the girl to me through a chat message. He stated that he had a new friend. At some point in 2024, they began spending time together and he informed me about it. After school, he would update me, mentioning that they often went home together and that he felt comfortable with her. Initially, I had no reaction. However, when things started to become uncomfortable, when it began to affect our bonding time and they were constantly playing games together, I started to feel uneasy. I attempted to understand since I was also getting home late from work. We had numerous discussions about it. He made it clear that nothing more was going on and told me that the girl liked someone else, another girl, apparently, while also having an attraction to boys. The issue is that I have never been the type to express my emotions openly. Since childhood, I have always been a reserved, easygoing individual. We discussed our boundaries. I informed him of the things I was not comfortable with and he agreed. He said he did not want to do anything that would harm our relationship. Fast forward, we began to have an on and off dynamic. Our conflict always revolved around how they were together almost all the time at school, going home and even playing games. I was fine with him playing games with others. I didn't want to come across as controlling, but I wanted him to make time for me as well. Even during my visits to his house, where I spent time with him and his siblings, our arguments would arise whenever I expressed my feelings. He would claim that I did not trust him. I explained that trust was not the issue. I never accused him of anything. I allowed him to do his own thing, but I would inquire if he stayed out late or failed to update me, or if the girl requested him to play late at night. We created schedules for when they could play the games. I permitted all of it because I did not want him to feel that I was interfering with his new environment and experiences, especially since he had been out of school for such a long time due to the pandemic. Eventually, he told me that I was not accustomed to the side of him that had friends. He admitted that the girl was his best friend. I had already known he was close to girls, but this time it was just one girl. I had no issue with him forming bonds with others. Once he said he wanted to breathe. He had been feeling sad lately. He stated that we were partners but that he wished to feel free if anyone invited him out. I never stopped him. I only asked him to keep me updated. He said he wanted to make memories with the people he loved and that I was one of them. He mentioned that he might need space because he was healing from friendship trauma, having experienced being cut off or not having long-lasting friendships. He said he desired a healthy romantic relationship with me and a supportive circle of friends. I understood, as I had also gone through something similar during my college years. He described himself as a free spirit and a people person. He claimed that all he needed was my trust, even though I had never accused him of anything. I let him go out with them whenever they wanted. In August 2024, before he started school, I even suggested that we break up in case he wished to explore this new stage of his life without constraints. I did not want to restrict him. However, he stopped me and said I was one of the reasons he returned to school. He said no to breaks and that if we ever grew tired, we could pause but never break up. By 2025, he was continually looking forward to holidays because of our staycations. We managed to spend time together and have deep conversations. We even discussed our relationship plans. He always stressed the importance of trust. However, he later told me that he was not prepared for a relationship. This revelation took me by surprise. He declared that he loved me, but it felt like merely words. I began to feel neglected. I sensed something was wrong. Every time we argued, especially when I was at his house, he would be on his phone and it became clear that he was venting to his girl best friend. I noticed a message that read, "You are the only one I have right now." Shouldn't couples put effort into reaching compromises during conflicts? Yet he would shut down and engage with her instead. He always reacted defensively whenever we argued about her. They hung out together, regularly shared lunch, went home together, and he would frequently post updates on social media. I started observing how closely they were connected. He once shared a story of her gazing at him while smiling. I tried not to overthink it, but it became increasingly difficult not to wonder. I questioned why his friends did not comment on the appearance of those pictures. He had previously asked for permission to post pictures with her, but that no longer seemed necessary. I tolerated their platonic friendship, despite how much it hurt and made me uncomfortable. I communicated my feelings to him multiple times but ultimately let it go because I trusted him. I loved him and clung to that. In March, we were doing well. We even went on a date, exchanged gifts for our monthly anniversary, and he held me closely as we walked. I was confused but made an effort not to overanalyze. However, in the first week of April, he abruptly requested space again because he was feeling down. Meanwhile, I kept seeing their stories together while I struggled in silence. I assumed he needed a break from us, so I gave him space, even though he barely reached out to me. Eventually, I surprised him at his village and requested to talk. I broke down in tears, sharing that I was going through a lot at home and work, even experiencing harassment, but I had kept it from him to avoid causing him worry. I expressed that I felt like he no longer regarded me as his partner. I inquired if he still loved me, and he was unable to provide an answer. That was when I truly understood. Eventually, he mentioned that he still loved me, but when I asked if he still envisioned a future with me or if I was still the one, he did not respond. Instead, he cried. He stated that he did not believe he could grow in our relationship any longer, even though he had previously assured me that we could grow together. He confessed that he was not ready for a romantic relationship and acknowledged that neither of us was okay. I recognized that our relationship was not perfect. We had issues. He had grown tired and so had I. However, I fought for us. I had no idea that while I was holding on, he was already letting go. He was quietly withdrawing. I questioned him about why it felt so rapid. He replied that while it seemed fast from my perspective, it felt slow to him. I told him it was unfair that he never communicated that he was losing interest or feelings. I felt overwhelmingly neglected. We were just fine in March, and then suddenly in April, when I was at my lowest point, he dropped all of this on me. I wiped away his tears and pleaded for another chance. I even knelt before him just like in movies. I didn't know such moments could occur in real life. I felt as if I died that day. I lamented that people around me were leaving, that I no longer had friends because they advised me to leave the relationship. But I did not believe them. I trusted him completely. I always defended him. I asked for one more opportunity, especially since we were supposed to go on a staycation. However, now he seemed indifferent. We did not discuss the breakup during the staycation. He merely mentioned that he wanted to enjoy himself. I told him I wished we had not gone. I even brought items that might remind him of our relationship, hoping he would fight for us. But I was the only one putting in the effort. A few days later, I suggested we go out, and I informed him that I was on my way. He seemed surprised but agreed to accompany me. I treated him as a celebration for completing his exams. Yes, I was trying incredibly hard. I thought that if I remained, he would also find a reason to stay. However, he ceased to care. He stopped treating me the way he once did. I knew I appeared desperate, but I continued to hold on because I believed he still loved me deep down. While we were out, I asked if we could take a picture and share it. He agreed to take a photo on my phone but said he could not post it. I instantly lost my appetite. I felt so hurt. He said we should just enjoy the moment. I inquired why he could no longer post it. I was at a loss for words. I felt utterly shattered. Then he confessed that he had not been entirely truthful when I asked if he still loved me. He stated that he genuinely did love me, but not romantically anymore. He felt no emotional connection to me, yet he still wanted me to visit and spend time with his siblings. What did that mean? He insisted that he was not abandoning me or the relationship. He simply wanted things to remain the same without the romance. I pleaded for us to give it another try. I asked him not to end our relationship yet, as I was experiencing so much distress and was already feeling depressed. Was he expecting me to be okay with everything? I told him it felt unfair how quickly he moved on and how easily he lost his feelings. He did not even put forth any effort. He had always stated that, regardless of how intense our arguments became, we never resorted to breaking up. I questioned why it seemed so easy for him to give up on me. I asked if he had confided in his girl best friend or anyone about us and our issues. He replied no, but I knew he was lying. You cannot be that comfortable in photos together unless something was said. My instincts told me he was being dishonest. He shared pictures where the girl looked at him, smiling, or he gazed at her as if she were everything. I tried to convince myself it was merely a picture. I invalidated my feelings, reasoning that perhaps I was just being dramatic. He had been lying. One time he told me he was heading to class, only to later state that they did not have class and that his girl best friend had invited him over. He asked me not to inform his parents. He went over there and posted more photos, looking so at ease as if he did not have a girlfriend. But I suppose technically he no longer felt anything for me, so maybe I had no right to feel hurt. Right now, I am uncertain about what to feel. I feel numb. Yet I am not genuinely numb, I have emotionally shut down. We have not officially discussed breaking up, but it feels as if I am the only one holding on. It seems as if we had already ended things that day. I have contemplated severing contact, but I have not done so yet. Story 2. After our breakup, she sends me TikToks saying, thinking of you when I see this, while I haven't heard her voice since our last fight. I'm confused, does she miss me or just want to keep the streak alive? Should I reach out or let her think I've moved on? Most simply, with very little detail to provide, here is my summary. After our breakup, I suppose, she wished me a happy birthday to be the first one, maintains our Snapchat streak, likes my social media posts, and sends me TikToks. Some messages even state that when she sees XYZ, it makes her think of me and XYZ. However, she does not really respond and does not reach out since my last text to her, where I mentioned I would give her space if she wanted or needed it and that I was here if she needed me. How should I interpret this? I love her and I miss her. I'm just uncertain if I should reach out or wait, hoping she does, concerned that she may think I am simply moving on. Honestly, there is far too much for me to discuss in one post to provide every single detail, but the most basic and straightforward version from start to finish is that we began going on casual dates over 2 years ago. She initially stated, I do not want a relationship right now. However, things gradually progressed to a more romantic level until we were dating, but we never had that official discussion. Last summer arrived, and until then, everything was quite good. Our distance schedules and other complexities prevented us from seeing each other as often as we would have liked, but things were good great even. It felt as if we were a genuine couple. Toward the end of summer, something occurred that deeply hurt her. No, I did not cheat. And as a result, we experienced a 2 to 3 month period of nearly no contact, with minimal communication, and things have not been the same since. We eventually reconnected somewhat in September and October, checking in on each other after we learned that a severe storm was approaching. We started talking fairly frequently again, and then in December we went on a couple of dates, during which it came up that we had matters we needed to discuss. In mid-January, we finally had the conversation in person, and we both held back feelings that had been bothering us, which we both needed to address. From her perspective, she essentially required more vulnerability from me. Throughout our time together, she had never met my family, and my reasoning is that I have a lot of trauma related to them that I am still trying to process, and I was fearful of being judged differently by her after she learned about my background. This, combined with the fact that I typically do not open up about much, has complicated things. After spending several hours in my car talking through many tears, I felt a bit relieved to express my feelings. I genuinely believed we were making progress in a positive direction, and I was fully committed to working on myself and becoming more open and vulnerable with her regarding my issues, just as she had been with me. When Valentine's Day arrived, I attempted to plan something special for us. She had been unwell during the week leading up to it due to her own health issues and an illness, but I still wanted to make the effort just in case, so I made reservations and plans. At the very least, when the day came, I offered to come over and cook for us, or for her to come to my place and cook for us. Ultimately, I wanted to see her for even a brief moment and give her the gift I had prepared. She acknowledged my messages to her via TikTok and stated she would text me back once she was out of the doctor's office. At 9:30 p.m., I still had not heard anything. I sent a sarcastic message saying, "Thanks for keeping me in the loop, I hope you feel better," to which she replied with gratitude and mentioned she would try to get some sleep, adding Happy Valentine's Day. Hours later, I sent a message explaining that I felt disrespected and underappreciated. My upset was not about our lack of plans, but rather her failure to respond. She replied 1 to 2 days later, which essentially sparked our first argument, where she claimed that I was just wanting a date and that her communication had actually improved since being with me, even with others in her life. I pointed out that it had always been an issue that I had communicated to her multiple times. Ultimately, her response was that communication had worsened because she could not be called my girlfriend after a year together. We had never had that discussion, but I had called her that in person, referred to her as such to my friends, and she herself mentioned to my friends during a night out that we were together. It is now the beginning of May, and we have not communicated since then. There have been no conversations, no updates, nothing. I messaged her a few days after our argument, apologizing and informing her that she did not need to respond. I offered to let her have her space if that was what she wanted or needed, and assured her that I would be here if she needed me. We still maintain our Snapchat streak, which has been kept throughout the duration of our acquaintance. We remain friends on our respective social media platforms, and she continues to like my posts. She sent me a message on Snapchat at around 10:30 p.m. the night before my birthday in March, stating that she would be going to bed soon and would not be awake at midnight, but she wanted to be the first to wish me a happy birthday. More recently, we have resumed sending TikToks to each other, which may seem trivial, but it is something we used to do often. One TikTok she recently sent me confuses and hurts me slightly. It was essentially, every time I see anything regarding X movie, it reminds me of when you told me you eagerly awaited my explanation of what was inaccurate in it compared to the book. This hurt because we saw that movie together on a date during a much happier time, and I am unsure why she would choose to share something like that. With that being said, she continues to not open or respond to any of my messages. She will eventually catch up on the TikToks I sent her over the course of likely a few weeks and respond or react to them. She does not typically open my actual Snapchat messages for at least a couple of weeks, or she will not open all of them at once when she finally does, which I have noticed. I realize I have not kept this brief and I apologize for that. However, I love this girl, I truly miss her, and I desperately want to reach out. Yet I also do not want to disrespect the space we currently have if that is what she desires. At the same time, I am genuinely afraid that if I allow time to pass without taking action, she may think I have simply moved on, which I have not at all. Any advice? How do you all interpret this? I genuinely do not want to lose this girl.